Every investing video tells Wally the same thing. You need $500. You need $1,000. You need to cancel every coffee and read earnings reports for fun. So Wally closes the video, tells himself someday, and another year passes. Here's what nobody told him. The number is not $500, not $1,000. The number is $4. $4. The gas station thing, the upsized combo, the app charge that's gone from memory by dinner. $4 doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like the texture of a normal Tuesday. But if Wally points that $4 into an index fund and just leaves it alone, in 40 years, it's $774,000. He puts in about $58,000. The market hands him the other $715,000 on $4 a day. Now let's be honest about what $4 actually is. It's the parking app fee, the streaming add-on Wally forgot he had, the checkout grab that's too small to question. Behavioral economists call it the pain of paying. Below a certain dollar amount, the part of your brain that questions spending just doesn't turn on. $4 sits right below that line, which is exactly what makes it dangerous. $1,460 a year leaking out, with no return and no memory. Every person has this leak. The only question is whether Wally sends it somewhere. He makes the decision on a Tuesday. Not a dramatic one. He opens a Roth IRA, a retirement account where his money grows completely tax-free, and qualified withdrawals in retirement carry zero tax. He sets a monthly automatic transfer of $122 and directs it into a total market index fund with an expense ratio below 0.05%. That last number matters more than most people realize. A fund charging 1% annually in fees versus one charging 0.04% will cost Wally over $180,000 on this balance across 40 years. One number, a fee he never noticed, and it costs him $180,000. Hold on to that. We'll come back to it. The difference between retiring with $774,000 and retiring with $594,000 is not how much he contributed. It is the fee he ignored. Wally clicks confirm. The account shows $122. The market moves and the number shifts by cents. He checks it once. He checks it again the next morning. Then he stops checking. This is the correct behavior. There is nothing to monitor in month one. The mechanism is running. That is the only thing that needs to be true right now. 1 year in, contributed $1,464. Balance approximately $1,540. The market added $76. $76 produced without a single additional hour of work. On its own, $76 means almost nothing. In context, it means the machine is functioning exactly as it was designed to. But here is the more important number from year one, 0. The number of months Wally's life became unmanageable because $4 a day changed direction. The rent still cleared. The things he told himself he needed that money for either did not materialize or were handled from somewhere else. The way real necessities always find their funding when they are actually real. The $4 was never structurally necessary in Wally's budget. It was habitual, and habits feel necessary until you break them long enough to discover they were never load-bearing. Wally broke it 365 times. It never once brought anything down. That discovery does not appear in the account balance. It produces no return you can graph, but it is the most valuable output of year one. The lived proof that Wally's financial life does not depend on those $4, because that proof is what makes every year after this possible. The person who knows through experience that they can redirect $4 a day is a different person than the one who suspects they might be able to. Suspicion wavers. Experience does not. Year 3, contributed $4,392. Balance approximately $5,100. Somewhere in year 2, the market dropped 14% across 11 weeks. Wally's balance fell from around $3,200 to $2,750. He felt it. The specific discomfort of watching a number decline when you have been consistently feeding it. Wally did not sell. He transferred the $122 on schedule because the schedule does not negotiate with market conditions. Now, very important, here is what that discipline produced. And most people never have it explained to them clearly. During those 11 weeks of declining prices, Wally's $122 bought more shares per dollar than it did when prices were high. Not as a strategy he executed, as an automatic consequence of continuing to contribute into a falling market. This is dollar cost averaging. You buy more when things are cheap, you buy less when things are expensive. Automatically, without timing a single thing. The market recovered. The shares purchased during the drop are now worth more than what Wally paid for them. The discipline of the bad months compounded quietly. It always does. And this is where the never miss twice rule matters. Wally will forget this the next time prices fall. The forgetting is fine. The structure does not forget. The automatic transfer does not forget. Never miss twice. Miss once, life happens. Miss twice, and the machine turns off. The rule protects the machine from Wally's very normal, very human instinct to panic. Year 5. Wally's put in $7,320 of his own money. So what's the account actually worth? $9,400. Market contribution $2,080. In the last 12 months alone, the account returned approximately $840. More than 6 months of Wally's contributions, produced by shares accumulated across 4 years of automatic transfers. His money is beginning to replicate itself. Here is a rule worth knowing. The rule of 72. Divide 72 by your annual rate of return, and you get the approximate number of years it takes for money to double. At 10% returns, Wally's money doubles every 7.2 years. The $9,400 he holds today becomes approximately $18,800 in 7 years without another dollar contributed. That $18,800 becomes $37,600 7 years after that. Each doubling contains all prior doublings. The compounding does not add. It multiplies, which means the $9,400 in year 5 is not just $9,400. It is the seed of 3 or 4 complete doublings before retirement. The account looks modest. The account is more powerful than it looks. The gap between its current appearance and its future value is the entire story of compound interest, and it only becomes visible from the far end of the timeline, looking back. Year 10. Contributed $14,640. Balance approximately $25,200. Market contribution $10,560. In this year alone, the account generated approximately $2,300 in returns on the existing balance. Wally contributed $1,464. The account produced $2,300 on its own. This is the crossover point. For the first time, Wally's existing balance is generating more in a single year than he is contributing. The machine has become the primary engine of its own growth. His monthly transfer still matters. It adds fuel. But compounding is now the dominant force. Wally is no longer the most important contributor to his own financial future. Now let's be honest. Most people never reach this moment, not because of income, because they do not survive the first 5 years of nearly invisible progress. The human brain is built to respond to feedback, clear evidence that effort is producing results. The early years of investing produce almost none. Year 1 adds $76. Year 2 adds a few hundred. Year 3, a correction sends the balance backward. The feedback is too weak to sustain motivation across repetition. This is exactly why structure beats motivation. Motivation requires feedback to survive. The automatic transfer required Wally's attention once, in month 1. Since then, it is processed in good markets and bad ones, in months when he thought about investing and months when he forgot the account existed. The crossover in year 10 is the payoff for the structure surviving the years when motivation alone would have folded. Year 20. Wally's contributed $29,200 total. Take a guess at the balance. $93,000. Market contribution, $63,800. The market added more than twice Wally's total lifetime deposits without a single additional action on his part. At $93,000 generating 10% annually, the account now produces approximately $9,300 in a given year. That is $775 a month appearing in an account Wally built with $4 a day. $775 a month in returns. From a balance that started as a Tuesday evening decision and $122. For every dollar Wally contributed, the market returned $3.18 on top of it. And here is what most financial content fails to explain about this moment. The acceleration is not slowing. It is steepening. The exponential curve grows faster at the end of the timeline than at the beginning. Year 30 will produce more return in a single year than the entire balance held at year 10. Year 40 will produce more return in a single year than the entire balance at year 15. The most powerful phase of compounding is always further ahead, which is why the investor who exits in year 15 pays a cost that cannot be measured simply by counting the contributions they stopped making. The real cost is the compounding those contributions would have triggered in the decades ahead. Every year Wally stays is worth more than the year before it. This is not motivation. This is math. The math does not care how Wally feels about starting. It runs from the moment he begins, and it compounds every day he stays. Year 30. Contributed $43,800. Balance approximately $277,000. Year 40. Contributed $58,400. Balance approximately $774,000. Inside a Roth IRA, that entire $774,000 belongs to Wally, not to the government at withdrawal. Tax-free growth across 4 decades on contributions that were small enough to go unnoticed when they left his account each month. $58,400 in, $774,000 out. Over $715,000 produced by compounding on a foundation that cost $4 a day, and the consistency not to interrupt it. For context, the median American retirement savings balance is approximately $65,000 across all age groups. That is not a typo. The person who redirected $4 a day for 40 years finishes with a balance nearly 12 times the national median. Not because they out-earned everyone around them, because they redirected money that was already leaving without a destination and gave it one. That is not a story about income. That is a story about direction. Wally is reading this right now, and in the spending that moved through his account this week, there was approximately $4 a day that produced no return, left no memory, and built nothing. Not because he was irresponsible, because the amount was too small to register as a decision. It is a decision. It has always been a decision. He just has not been treating it like one. Here is what to do right now. Open a Roth IRA. Fidelity, Schwab, and Vanguard all offer accounts with no minimums and commission-free index funds. Set the monthly contribution to $122. Select a total market or S&P 500 index fund with an expense ratio under 0.05%. Enable automatic monthly contributions and dividend reinvestment. Confirm, then leave it alone. Check in once a year. Rebalance if the allocation has drifted meaningfully. Otherwise, protect the mechanism from yourself. The compounding does not need Wally's management. It needs his absence and his consistency, and the 40 years that are going to pass regardless of what is in the account when they do. The $4 is already leaving every day. It has been leaving every day for years. Nothing about that changes unless Wally changes it. The only variable is whether it leaves with a direction or without one. $774,000 is not built from income. It is built from direction. From the decision to point the smallest daily leak toward a 40-year horizon and refuse to redirect it back toward the things that leave no trace. And if Wally misses a month, because some months are hard, some plans break, some people start late, that is not failure, that is life. Never miss twice. The machine runs on consistency. Give it the consistency. This is Wallet Level Up. Real money lessons for real life. Because some months are hard, some plans break, some people start late, and none of that means the story is over.